Important question. Actually, I should have put the question mark on that. So let's put that on there to start. Are you a counterfeiter? And when we look at that word, we have to actually try to dig into what is a counterfeiter. What does that really mean? Now, we go into Samuel Johnson's dictionary of 1755, and counterfeiter is a forger, an imposter. Okay, so did you ever wonder why those that are taxed are paying an impost? Could it be that they're an imposter? That's why they get the impost. So it's a direction away from truth that leads to stabbing oneself over with many pains because of lack of knowledge, as God's people will only perish due to lack of knowledge. So if you're involved in counterfeiting or being an imposter, how could that come about? Well, we've already gone through the fact that the whole vital statistics system is based on statute law, and statute law runs legal fiction. Legal fiction is statute law. So this is a Vital Statistics Act, which is operated by statute law. Therefore, in order to enter in, you were never born a member of this system. So in order to bring you in, you had to adopt that title by your own consent, that surname, a name added to one's real name. So we had to walk in to the world of fiction from the world of truth. And when we've done that, well, automatically we know there's going to be cause and effect, truth or consequences. We're now dealing with the consequences worldwide for a big collective audience that doesn't know the difference between what's right and wrong. And therefore, that's why they're institutionalized and certifiables, because they're insane. And they actually believe that fiction is real. So the ones who operate this certainly don't have any at all regard for you. Because they would view you as someone who actually has no conscience anyways. Or someone so in lack of knowledge, so ignorant of the truth and the fact, that they'll just continue to operate down a path of doom and destruction. So it's very interesting that as you go out shopping or walk into parking lots, you'll see always signs, customer parking, and customs, or what's paid for duties, and for taking something in from a foreign place and using it on the soil. But the word customer, actually comes from the root costume. And then in the dictionaries, depending on which ones you go to, it'll say costume, it'll say custom, see costume, and then see suicide. Why would that be? Because you'd be doing something suicidal against truth, because you cannot work down a direction of fiction or something artificial without ramifications. And that's why our world is full of artificial foods, artificial philosophies, artificial everything that's surrounding you, even artificial medicines that are put out through the the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, and people line up to take them. So this is a matter of conscience, and it's also a matter of, are you going to be a member of the collective? And are you prepared to actually forsake what it is and actually go in the other direction? But you can't have private interest in the public if you're going to take that step. You have to remove yourself completely from that. So that means everything that you were known or were before is now gone. And you're going to have to stand that. And to an extent, I'm not going to say that there isn't a bared responsibility upon the state for some of this situation, but they did give you a relief, and they did basically provide you relief through, as we talked about in previous videos, their seal of office, because they know they're ultimately responsible. So he who commits the tort has to bring the remedy, so therefore you couldn't have torted yourself as a child. Therefore, the inducement to actually take on the responsibility as a sponsor was never yours. It was always belonging to the one that's in control. So Caesar looks after what is Caesar's, and God will look after what is God's. But Caesar basically has induced an implication that somehow he has control of what is God's, but he doesn't. It's off limits. Christ died for that. And that's why it's so important to embrace that Christian name, because there's no other way I could explain it as belonging to or part of being the property of Christ. We know many people are having debates about the enunciation of the name, but when I'm dealing with the King James Bible, which most people will have, and the Bibles that are in most of the courts, we're dealing with basically the use of that in English translated out of Greek. So we would be using Christ, Christos, and I'm just saying that there is no other definition that's out there that would actually bring an understanding for God's people. So you're either owned by the legal state, and it's God, or you're owned by Christ. Two choices. If you join the side that's the legal state under Satan, under the imaginations of men and his make-believe kingdoms, then you've sold out. And that's why you're always for sale. Soldiers are sold. God's people are purchased. So we hope that the video helped, and it gives you definitely an understanding that we certainly don't want to be impostoring a false title.